Ready?
Hey everybody, welcome to Shit Happens, week number 315.
So actually we decided.
The Joker.
That's true. So we decided to change it up a little bit. Actually, I decided to change it up a little bit just because, well, we did. But actually, this comes from this is some video that I watched a couple days ago on Facebook, and and it just with the a report you had this morning with somebody, and I know we laugh, we joke, we goof around a lot on the ship, but I think this is not a serious one. Well, they're all serious.
It's a serious topic.
Serious topic, but you said something, and I'll let you say it, but a lot of times we'll have patients that'll come in and say, hey, I'm going to go to YouTube, and I'm going to, hold on, I'm going to go to YouTube, and I'm going to look up the chiropractic. And I wish our YouTubes or hits were a little higher. You may have to help that, bring a little buddy in here, maybe. Did you get it? Did you get it? Did you get it? Maybe. Maybe. So, bump our hits up because it's been a year since they've kind of busted us, and
It's been a while.
It's been a while, so yeah, we got to get them up. But anyway, when they say that, and Dr. Sean said it so well. When you hear that, go ahead now. Now you can
Disconnect the internet.
because it's sad when I see some of the stuff and I'm a chiropractor, and I see some of the stuff on there. And what I mean by that is I think one of the things that I learned when I was a student is, even before that, when I went to my first chiropractor, November 18th, 1977, Friday about 1:30, and when I went to Dr. Elsner, and he was very specific in what he did to me. When he ran the scope, he checked the joint, he laid me down, he explained to me about your right hip is turned up, it's rolled out, and we're going to specifically do that. And I was like, well, that made sense to me. And he explained how that hip increased the curve of my lower back, and I was like, that made sense. And I went to Palmer. I was fascinated with a technique which I thought was to me made sense, which is the Gonstead System, but it was very specific. And when as a student, when I was learning to adjust, doing setups, I can say I adjusted as a student, right?
I'm pretty sure they're not going to take your degree
Okay.
away.
So when I
You're in the clear.
Okay, good. As a student, when I would adjust, students don't do this.
No.
Like the students don't do this. But when I would adjust as a student, and I took such great pride in my specifics. When my first patient was my bride, and I remember when she had an ASRP Atlas. It was my first adjustment on her, and it was very specific. And the reason I stress that is the body does not work in generalities or possibilities. The body works with specifics. And so when we as a chiropractor, when we deliver that adjustment, it's got to be specific, not a general adjustment, which always made me general anesthesia. It's like, I'd like to have a really specific anesthesia, but
That'd be great.
But I watched a couple videos a couple days ago on Facebook, and I'm like, oh my Lord, no wonder, people look at us and go, you guys are goofballs, because I see some of the technique, the art that's out there. And for some of the chiropractors watch this, if I offend you, I don't care, because you offend me by the way you adjust. And I was telling that to Sean. I was like, I'm going to talk about this on the shift. She goes, you're probably going to make some people mad. And I was like, I don't care, because I'm that guy that I'm not afraid to say what most people are afraid to say. But it offends me that you don't take the time to be specific on your adjusting versus adjusting like what I was like. I said this where George at that one seminar, it's like watching a couple monkeys in heat. It's like, oh my God. Be specific with it, and that's one of the things that we really hammer here. The room that we're in right now is our lounge. It's where we work on stuff. We study radiographs and spinographs. We may work on our technique. We're critical of our technique. I remember a few years ago when I got the pleasure to adjust Dr. Wakefield, one of the first things my wife said, too much rotation. I went back and looked at the video, and I was like, you're right, honey. And that's almost 30 years in her practice, and probably a lot more adjustments than a lot of other people out there. And so if you've got to be very specific in your art. And for patients who are watching this, that's one thing we take great pride in. It's very specific for you because you have a specific problem caused by a specific set of stressors. You need specific care. And I'm not saying our way is the only way. It works for us. There's other great techniques out there, not as good as our way. But there's other great techniques, not as good as the Gonstead System. But you've got to be specific because the body works specifics. And that's one of the things we do here, which is why when you come here, we're going to ask you a specific set of questions. We're going to scan you. We may possibly take some spinographs, radiographs of you to study the structure of your spine and if there is any wear and tear, if so, how bad it is. And then we're going to sit down and we're going to explain to you specifically what you need, and then you're going to get that adjustment with a little bit something extra. So I'm sure our YouTube will go up, and I'm sure I'll probably get some hate messages. That means that I touched a nerve, have the nerve to actually use your real name when you do that. Don't make something up, which is non-specific.
When you adjust, are you supposed to touch a nerve?
I probably am with this, but it did. I'm not kidding. I'm watching this. I'm going, oh my Lord, please, no, don't, no, not again. No, you just did that. Now you go back over there. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Oh yeah.
Yep.
I mean, it's how many times can you do that to a spine?
The amount of over-facilitation and the innate wisdom of the brain must just be ridiculous. I mean, there's no way the brain can focus any healing efforts if they're hitting multiple places. That's like trying.
You know what I hope in a situation like the video I was telling you about.
Yeah.
You know what I hope is that brain, because we don't know, that brain is like, whoa, wait a minute, too much. We're not gonna let that come through.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I hope. You know,
that it blocks it out.
Yeah.
And while we're talking about this, it was very interesting. I met a lady yesterday, or 2 days ago, on Tuesday, and her brother is studying osteopathy in Pennsylvania right now.
Okay.
And she said, oh, you're a chiropractor. I love what you guys do. My brother, he's an osteopath, so every time he comes home, he adjusts me. And
She said adjust?
She said adjust.
Wow. I have chiropractors don't say adjust.
But here's the scary thing. A lot of that stuff that he did to her is a lot of what these chiropractors that we're talking about are doing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very...
Can I say crank and yank?
Yeah, sure.
Crank and yank.
So that that long lever, moving almost every area, segment of the spine, both the parasympathetic, sympathetic nervous system at the same time. And so her and I had a nice...
Can you imagine what's going on in the nervous system that's happening? Go, stop, go, stop, go, stop. You know, I mean, think about it. Yeah, it's like, I don't know what to do.
It's like that game when, remember Red Light, Green Light? Did you guys ever play that as a kid? Like Red Light, Green Light,
yeah.
Everybody starts tripping over if they're starting soft.
But I mean, think about it. I'll let you finish, but I was like, what do you suppose the autonomic nervous system is doing? It's like, you know.
Oh yeah, it's freaking out.
Keep going.
But we had a really nice discussion. I just showed her the spinal model, and I said, look, you're obviously, when you're getting manipulated in multiple areas, joints may be getting looser, but the overall stimulation on the nerve system is way too much. And also, when you look at the structure of the spine, your goal should be to improve upon that structure so the spine can be more self-sustaining, as opposed to continue to crank and yank things just as a temporary feel-good and not correcting any structures so that wouldn't have a lasting impact.
I'd say something, but I'm going to stop right there. But anyway.
So I'll use your example to add to that. Is that, you know, if you're hyper-stimulating and overstimulating the nerve system, both sympathetic and parasympathetic, it's like driving your car, doing 40 miles an hour, and then slam on the gas and brake at the same time. What happens to the car?
What happens to everything? What happens to everything around you?
Everything around you, in the car. Like,
Yeah.
Imagine the confusion and damage that happens when you confuse those two.
And that's where I'll end it with this. That's where the body works in specifics, and it really does.
Right.
There is no generalities in how your body functions. Should the care that is delivered to your body be specific? And that's one thing. Almost 30 years of doing this has really been an intent, you know, of ours. Like I said this today, takes so much pride in the specifics and the care, because that's what you should do. So, with that, ratings have gone up. Different group of people now.
Fantastic.
We're out of here.